So the next panel will be addressing climate change in the waste sector with environmental and social justice. We heard from the keynote presentation, the issues about the impacts on the environment, social impacts, economic impacts, but also public health impacts. So this panel, I believe, will deep dive and just dig a little bit deeper and give more information to you all and create more space for impactful discussion. So I'd now like to hand over to my next moderator, the lovely Miss Marisa Gonzalez Nordstrom, who's the Program Officer, Lifecycle Zero Waste for the UMI Fund. The UMI Fund stands for Urban Movement Incubator. And I think yesterday in the evening, I mentioned that for the posters that you see from the downstairs in the hotel, you see them going all the way up. Those come from UMI. And so she's our moderator, and she maybe can tell us a little bit more about UMI. And so I'll hand it over to you. Karibu sana, Dada Marisa.
Asante sana. To the lands of Tanzania, Nipefagio, GAIA, and to everyone, I am so grateful to be here with you. Please help me welcome to the stage our esteemed speakers. We have Mariel, Vilella. Give her a warm welcome. Thank you. The Honorable Meling Quezon from the Philippines. Welcome. Dr. Leslie Adogame, welcome. Marvin Hayes from Baltimore, welcome. And Soledad Mella, welcome. Once again, I'm very grateful to be here. I am privileged to work with the Lifecycle family of the Zero Waste Network. And I'm so excited to welcome you to our session on implementing a justice-centered approach in waste management, particularly in methane abatement. Before we start, can everyone please get a headset because some of the presentations will be in Spanish. Today, we are going to explore the importance of integrating environmental justice principles into waste projects and highlight best practices from around the world. We're going to dive in and discover how we can co-create a more equitable and sustainable future. The UMI Fund supports local climate solutions and movement building that is rooted in environmental justice for true systems change. And I'm so grateful that you are all here, and the Lifecycle family. Your work every day inspires me to go to work, and I think of you every day, and I'm so grateful for everything you've done to especially raise awareness that true systems change requires environmental justice as the foundation of who and what and why we are doing what we do. So with that, we will have our first speaker, Mariel Vilella from GAIA. She will enlighten us on ensuring successful methane abatement projects through environmental justice principles. Mariel will delve into the critical role of waste as both an environmental and a justice issue, as well as highlight the 5 principles of environmental justice and their importance in guiding decision makers. Please join me in welcoming Mariel.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It's a real honor to be part of this wonderful conference, the first International Zero Waste Cities Conference in Africa. Congratulations to everyone that made this possible. Today, we're going to talk about the environmental justice principles for fast action on waste and methane, which is an advocacy tool for implementing and upscaling justice-centered zero-waste solutions. This framework, the framework for environmental justice principles, was created through the collaboration of many organizations around the world from the GAIA Global Alliance. It was made with members from more than 41 countries, and it was a long process that we made happen throughout last year. There was a lot of consultations, a lot of conversations, and a lot of back and forth on a document that we finally landed last November, and it was launched at COP28 in the UAE. But before we go into the 5 principles and the document, I want to take a step back and talk a little bit about why we did this. What is the need that we have? We know that we are seeing an enormous momentum around methane emissions. We know, and we've heard in many presentations in this conference, that methane is a greenhouse gas more powerful than CO2 to trap the heat. It's critical that we reduce it to achieve the goals of the Paris Agreement. And we've seen how the waste sector is the 3rd largest contributor to the anthropogenic methane emissions, mainly because of all the organic waste that is put in landfills and dam sites. This momentum has taken more than 150 countries to sign the Global Methane Pledge. Countries are committing to reduce 30% of their methane emissions by 2030. And more than that, there's substantial interest from financial institutions and global policy to support this agenda and make it happen. So we've seen this increased interest, increased momentum, and yet the question remains: how can we ensure a fair, just, sustainable implementation of solutions? We know that by default, environmental justice principles are often neglected, and this exacerbates social division, exacerbates the marginalization of critical stakeholders, most importantly of the informal sector. And we know that this is because of the lack of alignment, lack of strategy, failure to engage in issues around justice, and false solutions. False solutions that we will hear more throughout today, but I just want to mention one quick point here. Climate finance today going to the waste sector for methane abatement, most of all, it goes to waste to energy incineration, which is exacerbating the problems that we are facing around climate change and environmental justice. So this is a trend that we need to change. The need is clear. We need to harvest all the positive benefits related to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Effective climate action is not only reducing emissions, and we need to be super clear about this. We've heard the co-benefits. It's about equality, it's about employment, it's about food security, the political and institutional benefits, basically what makes life possible in the planet. We also have a critical momentum around policy, and this is the revision of the NDCs, the National Determined Contributions. All the countries part of the UNFCCC process are called to upgrade the national climate plans and raise the ambition for the targets that they have at the national level. This means that many governments around the world today are starting to figure out what is our next step. How can we upgrade our ambition on the climate action that we can take? The deadline is the end of next year. By COP30, all countries need to have submitted these upgraded national climate plans. So this is a precious opportunity to raise and make our policymakers aware of the opportunity that we have in the waste sector and how important it is that interventions in the waste sector are aligned with environmental justice. So with all this context in mind, we decided that, yes, we needed an environmental justice framework to support all this policy work. So the principles really are made to provide guidance to policymakers in developing the NDCs, the methane reduction policies, the plans, or any other key policies that are now relevant and that need to be put forward. It gives guidance to integrate community members and waste workers in the design of these policies. It's a framework for civil society and any organization to strengthen their advocacy work and to make sure that we are ensuring a just transition process towards intergenerational equity. It's in our website, it's translated to several languages, and because of time, I'm just going to be brief, but I just want to give you the basics of what you can find there and how it can be useful to you. The document itself, it gives us a vision of change, that it's been supported and built with all our community. It talks about the 5 environmental justice principles. It gives all this guidance to policymakers. It even gives like a checklist, like what are the key points that a policymaker can cross-check their policy with the principles and see where there may be gaps, where there may be opportunity for alignment and improvement. The first principle is about respect planetary boundaries to ensure intergenerational equity. This is about the waste hierarchy and the importance to prioritize upstream solutions and the importance to have clarity on what are the best, the most beneficial options for environment, economy, and social justice, and what is at the bottom of the waste hierarchy, what we really shouldn't do. The second is respect for all waste speakers and waste workers. I'm so honored to be sharing panel with Soledad Mella from the Asociación de Recicladores de Chile, and to have representation here from the waste speakers in Tanzania as well. They are the de facto recycling system in the global south, and they deserve proper integration and inclusion in any of the policies that we are moving forward. Enhance inclusion and build from local knowledge. More than ever, when we see this interest from the local level, we just really need to match it at the local level. Because we know that waste happens at the local level, and this is where we have the local expertise. It is not going to work if local organizations are not included, are not on board, and not just consulted for a lipstick. They really need to be on the table for decision-making processes. Respond to pollution and environmental harm with accountability. This principle talks about what should not happen, what are the technologies and infrastructures that should not happen, and if they did happen, they need to be repaired, because they are causing harm, and they need to be avoided. And finally, the support holistic solutions through system change. It talks about encouraging all of us to work across our silos. And those of us that work on waste, we know how waste is so much the result of so many political decisions that have to do with so many different departments. And so often we find policymakers divided in different departments, and to decide about waste, we just really need to work across those silos and make sure that we achieve systemic change. Very briefly, because I'm running out of time, just to give you a sense, if you dive into each of the principles in the document, you will find more information of what that looks like here, as in like the principle 1, the waste hierarchy, and what the specific measures we're talking about when we say upstream solutions, and the checklist for policymakers. How does that look like? This is like specific recommendations that policymakers can integrate in their policy processes. We invite you, all of you, to use this framework to strengthen your advocacy for the development of all these policies that are at your hands. We have an amazing opportunity in the next year to literally up our game in making sure that everything that we do in the waste sector is aligned with environmental justice. This is the only way that we're going to make it effective for real, and it's going to make a change for the people in this planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mariel, and thank you to the GAIA network for this powerful tool that we can all use. And I want to remind everyone that the slides will be sent to you, the slides from yesterday and today. So thank you again. Our next speaker is the Honorable Meiling Quezon, Vice Governor of Siquijor Province and Chairperson of the Zero Waste Cities Network in the Philippines. She will present Environmental Justice and Public Policy, Siquijor's Zero Waste Program. It is an inspiration to the world, and we're very grateful to have the opportunity of learning from Mei-Ling about the successful system, what benefits it has brought in addition to addressing waste issues. Please help me welcome the Honorable Mei-Ling Quezon.
To the Executive Director of DP Fajo, Ms. Ana Lerocha, to GAIA International Coordinator, Christy Keith, to the Mayor of Zanzibar, we had yesterday also, who has very dynamically joined us, Mr. Honorable Mahmoud Musa, to the Tanzania municipal leaders who are here with us today, to my fellow delegates, Habari Mambu. I'm here today to discuss with you, to share with you the policy initiatives of the province of Siquijor. Siquijor province in the Philippines is the number 3 smallest province out of 82 provinces in the country. In our province, out of 134 villages, we all have our own MRF in all our 134 villages. We have 78% waste diversion, and we have 187 empowered capacitated waste workers. In our province, in 2018, we came up with a no single-use plastic ordinance. This was spearheaded by our board member, one of our elected provincial council board member, in the person of Engineer Cleburne Paglinawan. He was able to join by accident the Mother Earth Foundation convention, and he was able to bring the program in our province of Siquijor. In 2023, and 5 years later, there was action. If you see the examples that we have there, part of our ordinance or our local law is that we encourage the people to have a change of mindset and change of attitude. We encourage everyone to bring their own Eco Kit program. When they go to the market, they bring their own basket, they bring their own container. When they go to the restaurants, we don't give them, we ban the use of single-use plastic, so encourage them to bring their own container, reusable container. If not, we sell them a reusable container, so there will be no single-use plastic used. And we also adopted indigenous use of materials, wherein when you buy food in the marketplace, we use the use of, I don't know if you have it in coconut, it's made of coconut. We put the fish and the coconut, so it's entirely recyclable, reusable, so it's not harmful to the environment. In 2023, 5 years later, we had an amendment in our local ordinance wherein before our plastic holidays is Sundays, but then in 2023, we declared all days as plastic holidays. So all day, 7 days a week, there's no use of single-use plastic, or we declared it a plastic holiday in the province of Siquijor. We also encouraged the information education campaign, and then we also had the formulation of Siquijor Zero Waste Task Force. The task force is doing random check in all the public places, restaurants, public markets, to make sure that the ordinance is being implemented and then we will conduct a citation. We will give citation tickets to those violators. There's penalty for those violators of the plastic ordinance. Next slide, please. Recently, we established a Zero Waste Cities Network Philippines to highlight the role of the local government in addressing the pressing need for sustainable waste management practices across the country. It is inspired by the global movement of the GAIA and the Mother Earth Foundation. As such, we believe that as a movement, we aim to bring together cities, municipalities, and barangays committed to achieving zero waste. Our mission is to spearhead zero waste initiatives and foster true sustainability, showcasing best practices, exposing greenwashing, and supporting and guiding local governments toward impactful environmental stewardship. Our vision is to envision a just, zero-waste world where genuine sustainability is intrinsic to daily life and where local government leaders critical of deceptive industry propaganda are leading the work alongside empowered communities and waste workers. Our objectives, there are 5, is to first, to be a platform for local government officials to advocate for zero waste and be critical of all forms of greenwashing in various forms at the national, regional, or international level. Second objective is to work together to set and achieve zero waste and climate targets. Third is to be an avenue for community and government leaders to learn from each other. Fourth is to motivate other local government officials to join the network and prioritize sustainability and zero waste. And to fifth, to serve as a forum for local officials to support and contribute to Philippine national policy work pertinent to zero waste. Basically, the objective of the network is to form as an alliance or as a movement, a support group. Because it's not every day that we don't possess all the knowledge and technical know-how, how to solve problems. We need the local knowledge and the wisdom of all stakeholders and the experiences of other advocates from the different areas who could share best practices. So we learn from each other. Next slide. Okay, so we have adopted an environmental justice principles for fast action and this zero waste in the waste sector as our network principles. And this can be seen on the slide. Our priority advocacy, there are 5. We are requesting the Climate Change Commission to integrate zero waste in Climate Action Plan and the NDC, the city's methane pledge, the support for Magna Carta for waste workers, funding for National Solid Waste Fund, institutionalizing city environment offices or departments in all local governments. This advocacy that we came up with is all a result of the collaboration and brainstorming because in our country, we know that environment officers are not mandated position in local government. So you want that they be institutionalized so there will be a champion of the environment for every local government. So with that, I still have 2 minutes. I would like to say that Zero Waste Cities Network is a global movement that we envision it to be, and that as a movement, it takes one person at a time, and we have to do what we can where you are. Because if not now, when? If not you, who? We have to encourage and to build a community of champions for the environment. We only pass this way but once, but let us do the best we can. Let's leave this world a better place than when we found it. Good morning.
Thank you so much for that powerful story and for showing the connection between Mother Earth Foundation, between all of the collaborations, and using the environmental justice principles in advocacy. Next, we have a Soledad Mella from the Chilean National Waste Pickers Association called ANARCH and Red Lacre. Soledad will share insights on the integration of waste pickers in a decentralized zero-waste system, drawing from ANARCH's pilot program in Valparaíso. Let's give a very warm welcome to Soledad Mella.
Buenos días. Gracias. Primero que nada, agradecer esta invitación y decir que de verdad han sido 2 días con una mañana bastante interesante y esperanzadora, creo, con mucha esperanza. Los recicladores de base del mundo somos un grupo de hombres y mujeres que hemos vivido en la informalidad absolutamente por muchos años. Y hablar del proyecto que estamos haciendo en Chile significa también contextualizar quiénes somos realmente y la importancia de lo que hoy día está ocurriendo a nivel global, sobre todo con esta triple crisis climática. Yo creo que los recicladores de base del mundo jamás pensaron que iban a ser tan importantes en un escenario tan complejo y tan doloroso, que son estas 3 crisis climáticas que afectan directamente a los hombres y mujeres, pero también a toda nuestra especie que habita en nuestro planeta. Creo que nunca pensamos también que íbamos a ser tan relevantes en esta historia que se está escribiendo en esta nueva era, en este siglo XXI, que realmente íbamos a ser visibles y que íbamos a ser escuchados, que íbamos a tener voz, que iban a ver nuestros rostros, que iban a ver nuestras manos, nuestro cuerpo, desgastado por el trabajo rutinario de los recicladores en vertederos y otros en la calle. A veces muy cuestionados, muy prejuiciados y muy estigmatizados por nuestra forma, por nuestra ropa, por nuestro olor. Hoy creo que tenemos una tremenda e histórica oportunidad en el mundo, realmente impactante. Yo creo que nunca imaginamos que esta triple crisis climática iba a dar tanta oportunidad de trabajo a muchos hombres y mujeres, porque si nos ponemos a pensar y a visibilizar lo que ayer se ha presentado y lo que hoy se está presentando, la oportunidad de trabajo para millones de hombres y mujeres en el mundo es realmente extraordinaria. Pero un trabajo que hablamos nosotros que habla de la dignidad, de las oportunidades. Por eso es tan importante que los procesos que se construyan en los territorios y en nuestros países sean realmente de integración, de inclusión, de reconocimiento. Podemos hacer un aporte importante cuando se habla de metano. Ustedes saben que los residuos de su casa salen todos mezclados. Residuos sólidos secos, residuos orgánicos húmedos, en una bolsa negra, que muchas veces a nadie le interesa dónde va a parar. Y a nosotros nos toca separar de esa bolsa negra los sólidos secos y los húmedos. Los húmedos, que son los orgánicos, lo hemos desechado siempre. y los sólidos secos, le hemos buscado un valor a cada uno de esos productos. Hoy tenemos la oportunidad de no solamente separar los sólidos secos, sino que también darle un valor agregado a ese orgánico, que es tan interesante y es tan ignorado. Ayer Franklin, nuestro hermano indígena, hablaba de la importancia del territorio, de la importancia de la tierra y sus cosas que tiene la tierra. Bueno, lo orgánico viene de la tierra. Volverlo a la tierra es parte del proceso. Y con el proyecto que tenemos en Chile, se habla y se hace medular algo que para nosotros ha sido una batalla muy grande y muy constante en el Tratado de Plástico, que tiene que ver justamente con una transición justa. Yo quiero mencionar y agradecer a los municipios y a las personas que estuvieron ayer de Tanzania, creando nuevos modelos inclusivos de trabajo con recicladores de base y reconociendo la importancia de ellos dentro de la cadena. ¿Por qué lo menciono? Porque hoy día no es solamente hablar de transición justa y de leyes y cosas que se quieran aplicar en nuestro país, sin hablar de recicladores de base. Somos el primer eslabón de la cadena medioambiental. No hicimos cargo de algo que nadie se quiso hacer cargo y hoy queremos ser parte de una sinergia real y concreta con respecto a los residuos. Reciclar los sólidos y reciclar los orgánicos es la gran tarea que tenemos que hacer. En Chile, en el marco de la Ley de Responsabilidad Extendida al Productor, la Ley REP, estamos haciendo reciclaje domiciliario puerta a puerta. En base a esa línea dijimos, ¿y por qué no podemos hacer el reciclaje orgánico puerta a puerta? Hoy una cooperativa de recicladores de base de un vertedero tienen la oportunidad de demostrar que sí se puede hacer una transición justa, que sí se puede incorporar a los recicladores de base dentro de todos los mecanismos de recolección y de gestión de residuos, desde los secos a los húmedos. Somos parte importante de esta cadena medioambiental, pero somos parte también de un modelo económico que nos inventamos nosotros y que hoy necesitamos solamente inversión real y concreta, estructuras, financiamiento en maquinaria, financiamiento en logística. Porque somos la empresa más grande del mundo del reciclaje, con hombres y mujeres a lo largo de todo el mundo capaz de gestionar estos residuos. Pero necesitamos ser visibilizados, necesitamos ser reconocidos. Y el reconocimiento no va solamente en un contrato laboral, está en dar herramientas claras y concretas para los recicladores de base. Ayer veíamos lo que estaba ocurriendo. Hoy día volvimos a ver en la mañana lo que sigue ocurriendo. No necesitamos más informes, no necesitamos más estudios, necesitamos inversión. Y la inversión debe ser donde corresponde, en los lugares que corresponde. Hay consecuencias colaterales frente a la contaminación y a quienes afecta directamente es a los pueblos indígenas, a los recicladores de base que trabajamos de forma inhumana, casi esclavitud, solapada, real y concreta, con vulneración de derechos humanos que superan incluso lo que ustedes se pueden imaginar. Por eso la integración y estos modelos y este proyecto en el muelle, en el vertedero, para los recicladores de base es clave. Es realmente reconocimiento, pago por un servicio que ha sido gratis por más de 150 años de recicladores en el mundo que han gestionado distintos tipos de residuos. Hoy es la oportunidad y esto está ocurriendo. Y hacemos una invitación a aquellos inversionistas a poner el foco donde deben ponerlo, a invertir donde deben invertir, a reconocer que hay zonas de sacrificio, que la modernización, el desarrollo no puede ser a costa de la humanidad y de nuestra especie y sobre todo de nuestra gran casa, esta casa que nos habita, que nos recoge y como decía nuestro hermano Franklin, nos da ese amor que nosotros hemos olvidado. El individualismo, el consumo es una necesidad de un cambio de paradigma, pero sobre todo en cada uno de nosotros. Si miramos hacia adentro, ¿estamos haciendo realmente la tarea? ¿O simplemente venimos a hacer poesía? ¿Qué es realmente lo que estamos haciendo? ¿Estamos dispuestos a parar nuestro consumo para cambiar la realidad medioambiental y esta tremenda crisis? Simplemente una provocación, llamarlos a la conciencia, a ser parte de un cambio real, concreto, pero sobre todo a querer lo que hemos construido, pero sobre todo a reconocer a aquellos que son los más vulnerables y los que hoy más necesitan de leyes, de financiamiento, pero sobre todo de visibilización. Muchas gracias.
I'm going to introduce the next speaker. I'm extremely grateful for your powerful words and for your story. I just want to be and sit with that and feel it in my body. So our third speaker is Marvin Hayes, Baltimore Compost Collective, United States. Marvin will shed light on alternatives to waste incineration with community-led solutions. He will discuss the importance of community organizing in stopping injustice and share insights on investing in solutions through separate organic collection and composting. Please welcome Marvin Hayes.
Rambo! The prodigal son is home. There was a movie when I was a child that said there's no place like home. So there's no place like home. Thank you, Tanzania, for offering me, to bringing me here. So thank you so much. Before I get started, I am so glad that the government officials are here to understand the importance of community composting, especially youth involvement with community composting, but I'm going to need some help. I forgot to mention a couple things on my visa when I came here to Tanzania. I have been tested positive for 9 years of having compost fever. Me and my youth have been spreading a compost pandemic throughout Baltimore through the variant of education. So it is my deliberate intention to give you compost fever today. I am contagious. So my deliberate intention to give you compost fever. I think it's so important to give people their flowers. I just want to thank GAIA, my GAIA team from US-Canada region for giving me this opportunity to be here. Adi, thank you for the technical support. Also would like to thank, I would like to give you greetings from community composters, youth leaders from Baltimore, from the Baltimore Compost Collective, the South Baltimore Land Trust, and a couple of our government officials. First, our Office of Sustainability Director, Ms. Ava Richardson, and the Department of Public Works and Zero Waste Coordinator, Ms. Sophia Hosen. Without them, I could not do this work. I could not do my work, and they support our youth. I would also like to thank the Tanzania government, officials, and Anna and their team for hosting this conference, and I thank you for your patience and your grace and your hospitality. Once again, my name is Marvin Hayes, and I'm the Executive Director of the Baltimore Compost Collective Youth-Led Food Scrap Collection Program with the goal of inspiring youth environmental justice leaders with the ultimate goal of modeling and diverting the organic material from being burnt or buried, and provide solutions because nobody is coming to save us. We have been talking a lot about bringing youth involved. I want all my youth to stand up that are under the age of 18. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. I want to give you a piece from one of my poems. Today's youth are indomitable to subdue or defeat, but often not brought to the table to make it complete. We make decisions that impact their future, but we seldom save them a seat. We need to bring them to the table to make this zero waste activity complete. So, guys, I am charging everyone here to bring a youth along with you. We have more time in back of us than in front of us, so it is our obligation to create the youth environmental justice leaders that will take this zero waste movement to the next level. So let's please include our youth. Let's go to the next slide. We are youth-powered food scrap collection service, Black-owned business, building diversity inside of Baltimore and that compost community. We pick up compost on an electric van and electric bicycles to lower our carbon footprint. We support our youth. We give them opportunities to grow and be leaders of Baltimore. If we did not have youth as leaders, let me tell you what youth did under the age of 18. Excuse me, my phone is trying to work with me. So I want to tell you, in 2016, 2 youth at the ages of 16 and 17 stopped a proposed incinerator from being built. In 2020, our youth wrote the zero waste plan for Baltimore City. And today, in 2024, our youth filed a civil lawsuit against the incinerator in our neighborhood. They put air monitors all around the communities and work with a lawyer to be able to file that civil lawsuit. So you tell me what youth can't do and why they shouldn't be at the table. Youth are at the head of the movement in Baltimore City, so we must continue to support our youth and pour into them and give them all the things that they need, and the main thing they need is an opportunity. So they should be here. They should be here today with us. Next slide. We serve over 15 neighborhoods within Baltimore City. We are diverting about 1,500 pounds on a weekly basis. We started out with 5 customers. We were profiled. We were people that were taking these buckets off of people's front and they were putting it in this van, and I don't know what they're doing with it. And what I did in order to turn a negative thing into a positive thing, I taught the youth how to do an elevator pitch to teach people where their trash goes, what happens to it when it gets to its final destination, and how it impacts their community. So now we have 400 people who support this program throughout Baltimore City that have made the choice to divert their material, organic material, from being burnt or buried. And you'll never hear me call it waste, because we don't waste anything. We turn it into a beautiful black humus called black gold. So we don't do any wasting. We have weekly compost drop-off sites. Each week, community compost drop-off site can divert about 700 pounds of organic material on a weekly basis. We offer a residential food scrap collection where we give a 5-gallon bucket to about 400 residents, and we pick that up and we take it back to community gardens and make soil enhancers. Most of these communities are in food deserts, food insecure neighborhoods, where it takes most of our residents about an hour to get to a market that's not filled with GMOs and processed foods. So we provide soil enhancer for these residents to be able to grow their own food and produce. When you put compost into the soil, it sequesters carbon. It puts carbon back into the soil. With that, you have healthy soil, you have healthy fruits and vegetables. Next slide, please. We have engaged, I spread compost fever through the burden of education. If you teach a child to compost when they're young, they will always compost. So I bring youth in and teach them composting. We have engaged over 3,500 people. We do vermiculture workshops. We do bean composting. We do bokashi. Bokashi is the fermentation of composting. Community composting gives disenfranchised communities an opportunity to generate their own income that will stay in their community. My youth composter, who you just saw on the previous slide, he grew his first tomato at the garden. He then began to be a waste picker in a program we called the Be More Beautiful Block Captain, where he cleared this alley and his streetways every day. He came, his supervisor thought it was important that he learn about composting, to understand more about recycling. I told him about the job, and he filled out, I had his resume and cover letter by the end of the day, and he has been working with me since he was 15 years old, has not missed a day. Mr. Kenneth Moss is 21 years old now and is committed to every Sunday morning diverting that organic material because it affects his community. Next slide. 85% of Baltimore City municipal waste can be composted, recycled, or reused. So why are we not composting? Through the collaboration and support from local governments and partners and community compost, we can scale up. We have diverted over 34 tons of material from the landfills and incinerators. So let's give it up for those youth. Give it up. Next slide. So if everybody can repeat after me, this is our slogan. We know that these toxic organizations are going to continue. In Baltimore, what's happening, we get $11 million to burn trash. Then the city gets a kickback for burning the ash inside the landfill. So we must stop. So we're going to starve the incinerator. So everybody repeat after me. Compost. Compost. Learn so you don't have to burn. Starve the incinerator. Starve the incinerator. Feed the soil. Feed the soil. Feed the community. Feed the community. The incinerator is the dirtiest form of energy on the grid, and it threatens climate and health. So I wrote a poem called How We Can Spread Compost Fever to Combat Climate Change. My time is ending up, but I wanted to end with this to keep the energy going in this room. So it'll be a long journey down environmental justice road. That smokestack creates cleaner, greener energy is what we were told. In order to shut it down, we must have unity. So I went on a composting mission to feed the soil and feed the community. While others took blood money from the incinerator, I remained the environmental OG and stayed to the cold. Frustrated, locked myself in the garden teaching the youth how to make that black gold. Being a voice for the voiceless is our goal. We did our research. Because we poor, we gotta breathe in the cold. When I think about it, I get infuriated. And I ask you, why must our organic material be incinerated? Breathing in high levels of carbon dioxide and methane gas must be of the past. I ask you, how long will this environmental injustice last? We don't have much time. Climate change is happening fast. Composting is a member of this supporting past, great for the climate to help reduce harmful greenhouse gas. In my city, environmental racism is dominant, but when you add compost to the soil, it sequesters carbon and so great for the environment. So if your ear is within my range, let's continue to spread compost fever to help combat climate change. This is my first environmental justice poem, so it's just a taste. But remember, compost, a rhyme is a terrible thing today.
I hope everyone has compost fever right now. Yes, I do. And when we think about environmental justice and the inclusion of youth, the inclusion of the informal waste sector, we keep hearing the importance. What stood out to me is feed the soil, empower youth, feed the community. Starve the incinerator. Yes, I love it. And it brought me back to the principles on also exposing the false solutions. So our last speaker will be Dr. Leslie Adogame from SRADEV, Nigeria, who will offer insights into environmental justice in the waste sector in Lagos. Dr. Adogame will address the challenges and opportunities of waste management in Lagos, emphasizing the necessity of an environmental justice perspective. Please join me in a warm welcome to Dr. Leslie Adogame.
Thank you. Let me just start by thanking GAIA and Nipe Fagio for inviting me to this very, very important meeting. I just would be sharing some of my on-the-ground experience as it relates to the challenges and opportunities for organic waste in Lagos. From the first slide, let me start by saying first, we work as a team under the GAIA Nigeria framework, and particularly for my organization, SRADEV Nigeria, we basically follow policy. We interface with policy at the national level, as a matter of fact, from global to local, to be able to inform action on the ground. And I want to just start the presentation by looking at the first slide to get us to properly appreciate the problems. Not to say that, well, just to say precisely that Nigeria is a fairly, very large country, as you can see from that map. A country of over 200 million people. So, I mean, not necessarily to say that because of population, I mean, you should be unable to manage your waste, but just to say that the more the population, and if you do not handle waste properly, then you have a big problem on your hand. And because of the overwhelming challenge of managing the waste produced in the city, Lagos is a mega city by all standards. But the challenge of managing waste has overwhelmed the government so much that the three major dump sites, Olusosun, Solos, and Ekpe, are being, because of the problems, the attendant problems they come with, you know, in terms of pollution of the environment, a lot of criticisms from groups like us saying, look, they are overflown. The Lagos state government is really looking at closing down some of these dump sites. Now, what next? On one hand, you have this volume of waste produced, challenge of regulatory framework. Then on the other hand, what should be the way forward? This is typical of the kind of, dump sites we have in Lagos, which the Lagos state government is trying to close down. The annual organic waste generated across the states, but you can see the one from Lagos, that there's huge production in terms of organic waste, but yet there's no process in place on how this should be managed. And with this problem, with Lagos, I can't summarize, these are the basic challenges. Population growth is increasing, no infrastructure to manage the waste, no segregation at household, no separation is happening. There's no funding in the sector sufficient to be able to manage the problem, which is typical of most African countries. And I also listened to the case of Tanzania, which was explained on day one. Low awareness and poor regulatory framework. So, it then means the Lagos state government has to look elsewhere. They are looking for ways to innovate. They are signatory to the Global Methane Pledge, strong commitment, and trying to find solutions to the huge problem. The picture, I think the next slide you see relating to the lowering the waste methane initiative. You will see in that picture, that is the Lagos state, the second to the one wearing the red cap. That is the governor of Lagos State. That's a commitment in COP28 in UAE. Sorry? Oh, yes. Yes, thank you, yeah. Where they made a commitment to embrace lowering organic methane, and they joined the entire movement. And you can see from there, Nigeria made a commitment, and Lagos is the subnational jurisdiction. Chile, Dominican Republic, Indonesia. And we also heard yesterday that some other countries' commitments are ongoing. Next slide, please. This is a very ambitious statement of the Lagos State government. The opportunity in my country is enormous. We know what it is we need to do. We have the willpower to do it. We have the regulatory framework to do it. We need all the support to be able to do it. Following this, there is a low methane partnership working group put in place. Interestingly also, Nigeria has put in place a Nigerian National Action Plan to reduce SLCPs, as was talked about yesterday. And like I mentioned, Lagos is buying into the whole initiative. Also, we are playing a role, SRADEV Nigeria, serving as GAIA experts representative in the low methane Nigeria country team. Discussions at this stage are on basically scoping and action plans on how to support the state. As this process was going on, I used the word boom. We suddenly had an announcement. The same Lagos State that has been so ambitious, holding different climate change international conferences, is now to generate solid waste using converting one of the landfills to, trying to sign an agreement to have an incinerator in place to manage the waste. So that's counter, even though they've been so ambitious. So we rose on to the occasion. There's no point talking about, next slide, talking about the failed attempts. You can gigantic one, when the ones of 12 megawatts never worked. Next slide. We've talked about the environment impacts, health impacts at different sections of this meeting. Next slide. Yes, the health impacts, production of noxious gases, POPs, dioxins, furans, all this, we have talked about the health implication. So, where we come in as GAIA Nigeria Network, I think here also I have about, we signed on to, we're trying to engage policymakers using the environmental justice principle for fast action on methane, on waste and methane. And we're embracing the entire 5 principles to engage the government. And we just have to be reactive because they caught us unawares with that announcement or MOUs being signed. I want to specifically commend GAIA and majority of you sitting here. We immediately put in place a petition which was signed by most of you. Can you give a big round of applause to yourselves, please? Yes. Within 2 weeks, we collected about 146 organizations signed and 251 individuals signed from 64 countries. And I want to inform you that that petition, as at yesterday precisely, has reached the office of the Honorable Commissioner for Environment of Lagos State and the Lagos State government. So we are waiting. We did request for at least some kind of meetings, engagement for us to discuss the way, provide the way through. And I also want to just thank some of our colleagues, GAIA Nigeria members who also supported the process. I think 2 of you are here. Can we just appreciate you? Umbrejo. Yeah, where's Umbrejo? Okay, stepped out. Okay, thank you so much. So we did a very aggressive advocacy, and we put up a petition which was supported by you all. So we are actually interrogating the process, following the process on the ground to ensure that this very dangerous MOU or act will not come to play. So our next step would be a press conference. I will keep all of you informed, and thank you very much for your support in the past weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for showing the importance of aligning together around environmental justice principles, especially in advocacy against false solutions. And we're very grateful for your story and for everyone here. So now we have 10 minutes for Q&A. But before we begin, can everyone, I'm going to invite you to stand up. Stand up and stretch. And can we have another round of applause for our amazing speakers? Okay. And I just want to invite you to have just a little movement in your body. Come back into your fabulous body. That holds your spirit. Yes, your amazing spirit. And then I just want to invite you to bend your knees a little bit. Feel your body being supported by the earth. You don't have to close your eyes, but maybe a soft gaze so you can really feel the weight of the earth beneath you holding your body and how you're held by the earth. And take a moment. What is arising in you, either your mind, your heart, your body, after hearing these very inspiring, these truth-telling stories and seeing transformations of communities and the power of people coming together around environmental justice? And take a moment for yourself just to feel whatever is most alive in you. Thank you. I want you to have a seat now. I wanted to give you that time to reflect and feel in your own body. And now I want to open the floor for any questions for our esteemed panelists. Okay. Yes, Alicia. We're going to bring a microphone to you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for my English. I'm gonna ask for the Nigeria petition because now in my country they want to make a co-processing in my city. So I wanted to ask for if yes.
Yeah, Lisa would like to know whether that declaration that you asked the signature that you asked us to join, if it's useful for your process in your country, and how does it work?
Or can we bring a microphone up here? You want me to come over? Sure, maybe it's faster.
Sorry, she's from Ecuador. This is part of the Zero Waste Alliance in Ecuador, and they are fighting not just incineration but many other false solutions there.
Yes, thank you very much. I think this is part of the beauty of movement building and very cohesive relationship. Like I mentioned, we have a very vibrant network of GAIA Nigeria, and it's made up of over 10 very active NGOs spread all over the country. Now, when this came up, obviously for those of us who are based in Lagos, it was important that we rise up to the occasion to address this false narrative. Prior to this, we had the opportunity of, it was so deceptive, and that was why we decided to take it up. Because prior to this, when we engaged with the government, when we had rumors that this was coming up, they told us, oh no, it's not for organic waste, that what they are thinking is just on the pipeline is for medical waste. But then we asked, lest even that's still problematic. Just a week after they told us that it's not for general waste, organic waste, we saw this MOU signed. So we thought we've exhausted the opportunity of that initial engagement. The best thing was to go for a petition that will go to the media. And I know this is a government that they've been so visible globally on climate change issues. They want to be seen. That's why you saw the picture of he went to different COP meetings and all that. But we felt that if you are looking for visibility and you want to attract funding from outside, then we should immediately counter that narrative. So with regards to your question, it's a swift approach. We see it as useful. It's going to be very productive. In fact, immediately they saw signatures were gathering, I got a lot of calls, and my colleagues as well, that, oh, let's talk, and all that. So we are waiting for them to invite us. We just submitted the letter a few days ago. So just, when we get to the bridge, we cross it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Microphone right there, Victor.
Two questions for Marty. First, thanks for the presentation, was amazing. The first question is, how does the system work? How do you pay, can you pay the youth for the system? How do you engage them? And the second one, that's the most important, is where can we get this cap?
Wait, can you get the cat?
The
I got you. I got you. So I'm working on Baltimore Compost Collective merch, and I got you. Let's just change addresses. I got you. I have a shirt as well. I'll wear it tomorrow. You might like that as well, because I'm straight out of compost. I'm straight out of compost. So I wanted all the program to be sustainable. So we charge $25 a month to pick up from residential households. That helps not give my youth a living wage, but I can pay them a fair wage. So that's how we're able to be sustainable. I did not want to depend on systems that don't work for us. So I wanted to make sure that we're sustainable so we're able to generate income, because we know grants aren't promised all the time. So we wanted to make sure that we're sustainable the same way our farm. We rescue bees. And all of the honey that we sell, that helps takes care of the garden. So that's how we remain sustainable. So we have to come up with teaching our youth farming as cash crops. So what we're growing, we can make income off and can help to keep these programs sustainable. So that's what we do. We charge to pick up $25 a month, which comes to $5 a week for the whole year. And it helps support our young people and support us starving the incinerator, feeding the soil and feeding the community.
Thank you, everyone. That's all the time that we have, but I hope that moment you took to feel what you are leaving with after hearing these very powerful stories and the inspiration and the power around these advocacy tools of environmental justice, that you take that with you, you take it into the break, you take it into conversations, and please speak to the presenters. Once again, can we please have a warm round of applause for our phenomenal presenters?